Roseville, Michigan. Hello.
Yes, good evening, Larry, Doctor. I've read a lot of books on the Kennedy assassination. I'd like to ask the doctor, in his opinion, how many shots actually hit the president?
The president, he was shot twice from the front, the entrance wound in the throat, tangentially in the right rear. That's from the front, but on the side. And then he was shot once in the back. That wound I've never seen, or we did not see at Parkland, and that we did not turn the president over. So that would be 3.
3. Dallas, hello.
Hi, Larry. Dr. Crenshaw, I'm kind of amazed that you say fear wasn't the motivating factor because, you know, a lot of people in this area mysteriously died when they said they saw something that contradicted the official version. What I want to ask you, you saw the back brace that President Kennedy had on, right?
Yes.
Do you think in any way that brace would have had an effect on which way his body moved when he was shot?
Well, that would be a difficult question to answer. Obviously, with the brace, it keeps one from, the tension on the musculature, and it theoretically could have. I just never have thought of it in that way.
You wore the brace all the time?
Mm-hmm.
We'll come right back with Dr. Charles Crenshaw, author of JFK, Conspiracy of Silence, after these messages.
You're listening to The Larry King Show, live from Washington, D.C. Here again, Larry King.
One thing before we go back to the calls, Dr. Crenshaw was saying that everybody in that room's family was investigated.
Yes, they went to out to all the neighborhoods and would talk to our neighbors to check and see what kind of people we were. They would ask certain things of whether or not we were communist or Republican.
Everyone who was in the room?
Yes. I was kind of wondering which would have been worse to be at that time.
El Paso, hello.
Yes, I'm just curious. There must have been many examinations of the pictures at the time of impact. Which direction do you feel the president was actually looking? And could the bullet have come from Oswald's direction?
Well, all I can tell you is what I saw there at Parkland, the front entry wounds. And we didn't have the luxury of seeing the Zapruder film, whether it's been changed or not, back then, obviously, until I think the first copies were around somewhere during the Garrison trial. But the only films I saw that were official autopsy photos I didn't see until 1991.
El Paso to Edmonton, hello.
Hello, Larry.
Yeah.
I just want to thank the good doctor for finally coming out after all these years. I think it's about time that, maybe he'll start the wave and some of his colleagues might just do the same thing. One thing I would like to ask, though, Larry, and I'm surprised you haven't brought it up yet, is that Dr. Crenshaw in his book, I think also, I haven't read it yet, but he discusses a phone call that Lyndon Johnson made to Parkland Hospital just before Lee Harvey Oswald died, and I'd like the doctor to talk about that a bit if he could.
I was standing at the end of I'd scrubbed out on the Oswald operation, and I was standing there at the end of the table. I noticed a funny-looking person in the room. He looked like Oliver Hardy. He was a rather large man in a very small scrub suit with a badge hanging on his, out of the pocket on the scrub suit in the front, and a very large gun hanging out of his back pocket. So this disturbed me, but knowing the bedlam that was going on in Parkland, I just stood there and took it. I did go over and get him a cap and mask. He had gotten in there without a cap and mask. About the time I returned, standing there at the end of the table, a nurse, not Audrey Bell, I've talked with her, tapped me on the shoulder and asked me if I would take a phone call. So I went to the supervisor's office, picked up the phone, and there was this voice like thunder. This is the president, Lyndon B. Johnson. How is the accused assassin doing? I said, well, he's critical. He's lost a great amount of blood, but he's holding his own. He said, would you take a message to the chief operating surgeon? And I said, certainly. He said, I would like to have a deathbed confession. So I said, okay. He said next that the man in the room would take that confession. So I said, okay, and the phone went down. I went back to the operating room. I tapped Dr. Shires on the shoulder, and I said, guess who I've been talking to? And he looked at me like, crazy, because Bedlam was there. They were trying to stop all the bleeding, trying to take care of the patient's problems. And I said, the president just called. He asked if that man over there, that guy, could take a deathbed confession. And, without even saying anything, we both knew that the fellow Oswald would not have been able to talk for at least 3 or 4 days because of his condition, had he survived.
Would you guess Oswald suffered pain?
Yes.
Omaha, hello.
Yes, I have a question. You said that you did not turn over the body, and that was all the surgeons in the books I've read. At one time I believed there was a conspiracy, but after studying everything, there's just questions, no answers, so I don't think there was. But you said you never turned President Kennedy over, and you didn't see the wound in the back. So did you turn his head from side to side? Is that something you missed, the wound in the back of the head?
No, we didn't miss the wound in the back of the head. There wasn't one. I looked at the back of the head before we put him in the coffin. But we were trying to save his life. We were doing emergency procedures there, and there was no need to turn him over yet because everything we had accomplished, the chest tubes, the tracheostomy, all of the portals to give him fluids and blood had been taken care of. So on an emergency basis, he received first-class resuscitative care.
To Tarpon Springs, Florida. Hello.
Yes, the tracheostomy scar that appears in the autopsy photographs, is that consistent with the insertion of a trach tube?
No. It is consistent, I believe, with a probing or enlarging and making it more gaping. The wound as it left Parkland was rather well done by the surgeon, Dr. Perry, and was much smaller than that in the autopsy photos that are from the Warren Commission.
We'll be right back with Dr. Charles Crenshaw, the book JFK, Conspiracy of Silence. You can order the book at 1-800-831-8900. It'll be signed by the author, and you can charge it to any major credit card. 1-800-831-8900. Back after these messages.